11 wins at home in a row for your Houston Rockets. It was a weird game last night. I watched the game in great detail up to halftime. They were up 19 at one point in the first half. They were up 14 at the break. The Grizzlies don't have Ja Morant. They don't have Desmond Bane. So I figured, okay, this thing's over. But in the third quarter, they allowed 38 points. And Jaren Jackson had 44 points. That's the most that anyone has scored individually against the Rockets all year. 16 of those points were in the third quarter. But they figured things out at the end of the third because of a Houston athlete that real ones know. Tari Eason, career high 25. And I'm curious as to where he ranks among Houston athletes that, quote, real ones know, end quote. We're not talking about the big names or the big stars.
Not
like
CJ Stroud.
Not Alperen Sengun, Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr. from the Rockets side of things. I guess, Sean, if we're going to continue with the Texans, we're not talking about Tank Dell. We're probably not talking about Will Anderson
it's like
or Derek Stingley.
The under the radar, like the good, solid players that are under the radar that don't get the love. That if someone drops like, hey, you know who I really love in this Rockets team, Tari Eason. You're like, okay, this person actually watches the
game, right? Because Tari Eason is a high energy, great defender who has moments where he can put up buckets like he did last night.
But like you said, 23 points his career high, or 25 points
career high.
Now is his career high.
Right.
He was good against San Antonio on Monday, but before that, I think he'd only scored in double digits this season, like maybe once or twice. Mm-hmm. So he is a guy who's like, obviously scoring is not his game necessarily, or at least until the last two games. Maybe it is, but it is someone who you would have to know just from watching the game.
Correct. Kaimi Fairbairn is the real ones know Houston Texan. Yo, he missed one field goal thus far this year. This is a guy who could bomb it from 50 plus. The Texans forgot he could do that again this year. They forgot about it last year too. One of the longest tenured Houston Texans. Real ones know Kaimi Fairbairn.
I think he's played himself off this list now with the numbers he's gotten. No, not Kaimi Fairbairn. I'm
back to Eason?
No, I think Jonathan Grenard. Jonathan Grenard.
That's a good one. Yeah.
He was good in, I think it was the 20. Was it 21?
Mm-hmm.
He was really good, but it was coached by David Culley, so no one cared, no one watched.
9 sacks this year.
Yes, now he's 9.5 sacks, where I think at the beginning of the year, if you're like, Jonathan Grenard and Will Anderson is going to be a good 1-2 combo, people would be like, yeah, Will Anderson's going to be really good.
Right. That's a good one. Jonathan Grenard, Kaimi Fairbairn. As far as the Astros, it's tricky with the Astros. I would say Yainer Diaz, but there was so much whining by sensitive Astros fans about our fearless leader, Martin Maldonado, playing more than Yainer Diaz from people who just don't know ball.
Don't know ball and real ones know are like
the same thing.
It's the yin and the yang.
Oh, it's the yin and the yang. Explain.
Because, if you don't know ball, you don't know the real ones that the real ones know.
Fair.
So
okay.
If you don't know ball, you don't know who Tari Eason is until last night.
Is Yainer Diaz too commonly discussed to be a real one's no? I think because of how good he was.
Yeah, I think like before July he would have been. When it was like still a small sample size, whereas before it became like the defining thing of the 2023 Astros.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that if like you're just at a sports bar talking to your friend about the Astros and they're like, who needs more at bats? Yainer Diaz. I'd be like, okay, you get it. Because like we talk about the Astros with a fine-tooth comb. I think that's also why it's hard for specifically us to point someone out, is that like cause he had a run and it kind of fizzled out. But JP France would have been a real one's no.
JP France was a real one's no. That's a good one.
If you're going to a game with a casual fan, I know I just changed the metaphor. If you're going to the game with a casual fan and who's on the hill for the Astros, it's JP France, your friend might be like, who the hell's this guy? And you're like, oh, no. This guy's actually pretty good.
And he's got a story.
He's got a story and he's pretty good. He's a 28-year-old rookie.
Mauricio Dubon would have been,
Ooh,
but he won a Gold Glove.
Yeah.
That's where it gets tricky. Now, going into next year, as we get further away from this year and we forget about all the time that he spent subbing for Jose Altuve, and as he's battling for spots with Jake Myers, perhaps in center field, I think that maybe that Dubon becomes a real ones no guy again. But I think he's elevated himself out of that.
I think he started the year as a real ones no, and then graduated out of it. But maybe because his role will probably backslide, he can also kind of slide back into a real ones no. That I was really thinking about it, the Astros, and I couldn't think of any. But I think we got at least two good ones.
Here's a good one. Blake Cashman for the Texans.
That's a great one.
They needed him on Sunday. He got hurt on that turf. That guy had 19 tackles in a game.
And it's bonus real ones no, because I first heard of him. I think it was one of the first times. Was it when DJ was on with us?
I think so.
And he was like, dude, Blake Cashman was everywhere in training camp.
I remember noticing him.
Start.
I remember noticing everyone talking about him in training camp, and then I saw a couple of like preseason things, and I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, he has been great this year, and a very good find. Real ones know Corey Julks. There was a time where Julks was fun. He might be a real ones no because people were frustrated that he played as much as he did this past season.
Maybe that's like a real ones no, like frustration,
like Maldonado versus Diaz.
Yeah. Well, no, because the Maldonado versus Diaz, I think that's like a pretty casual fan can just be like, I've heard Paul Gallant and
parrot this.
Jeremy Branham complain about Martin Maldonado. I can just parrot it. But if you're frustrated about Corey Julks' playing time, then you're a real one. Mm-hmm. I would like to know, where's some past ones? Where's some past real ones now of Texans or something?
We'll keep it going on the other side. Yeah. Some past real ones now.
Because I think that
I could go all day with past real ones knows Texans. I'll be annoying with that. Real ones know athletes that only Houston sports fans who regularly watch know about. Someone from the 832 texted in Griffin Dorsey on the Dynamos, the ultimate real ones. Now, that could be a made-up person. Any Houston Dynamo player, let's be honest, is a real ones now.
If it's not Brian Ching, then chances are
that's my guy, Brian Ching.
Yeah, no, everyone knows Brian Ching. Everyone likes Brian Ching.
Close personal friend, Brian Ching.
Yes, no one knows him and likes him quite as well as you do.
Right, so I'm like a real one because I know the realest one. On God, for real.
Yeah, you and Glenn Davis and Brian Ching, the big three of
Houston soccer.
Houston soccer.
So true. It's so true. That Herrera guy, right? That guy was on the team this year. That's a real one, no. Sean wanted me to give you some Texans. When I was at the flagship, I used to know the roster like the back of my hand. So here's a couple that I had a deep appreciation for back in the day. Owen Daniels. Dude. That guy was a really good tight end. How about this one? James Casey. So James Casey was this fullback tight end hybrid that people looked at and was like, damn, this guy's a weapon. That's a real one's no. Houston, Texas. How about this as far as entertaining personalities? The Ninja Assassin, Antonio Smith. Antonio was hilarious. Remember when he grabbed, I think, Richie Incognito's helmet and tried to beat him with it? That was a great moment in NFL history. I tried to use that to defend Myles Garrett for hitting Mason Rudolph with that helmet back in the day. Real ones know. Text them in 713-780-3776. A random Houston Texan that I had a lot of appreciation for that always did well when he was on the field and I think had a 5 yards per carry average. Jonathan Grimes of William and Mary. Yeah. He didn't play nearly enough. I was a big Grimes guy. And no, not the mother of Elon's child. No, I'm talking about the Jonathan Grimes. 713-780-3776. On the Twitch, DA, David Anderson from HRW 713. That's a good one. Alfred Blue. Oh, we're turning this into Name Some Guys radio. It's my favorite. Paul, you're just a hack. You're barely get in. So, everyone loves Name Some Guys.
Yeah, you're naming some guys, aren't you?
Right.
Everyone smiles when they hear some Name Some Guys.
Sean, I love it when I see some meme put up on Instagram, some broad lamenting her man having endless fun just naming some old sports guys.
It is. I mean, I enjoy it so much.
It's the best. It's the absolute best. Just naming some guys.
Glover Quinn.
Oh, can't believe the Texans let him walk.
He was really good.
I mean, there's a couple of guys that they let walk. AJ Boye. Now
I'm
Boye
cool
didn't
with
do so
letting-
well in Jacksonville, but
Yeah.
that's a guy that
AJ
real
Boye.
ones know. Mm-hmm. Real ones know
Bryce
because he was a disappointment. Kevin Johnson.
Kevin Johnson, Bryce McClain. Or no, Bryce McCain.
Bryce McCain.
Bryce
yeah,
McCain.
Yeah. There was this moment in time where people were talking about Bryce McCain as this great nickel corner, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't.
Are you sure?
Talking about the same guy?
Brandon Harris. Real ones know because he was awful. He was a second round pick of the Texans. Sorry, Brandon, but the reason that it's easy to single you out is because no one did more dances after incomplete passes than Brandon, the no-fly zone. That was his nickname, Harris.
Hey, listen.
Love to do the incomplete pass dance.
Now they do the seatbelt celebration. Mm-hmm. Brandon Harris, ahead of his time.
Some more. Luther Head.
Luther Head, great Rockets one. Great Rockets, real ones now.
Colin Edwards. Someone did Wandy Rodriguez from the Astros.
Good one.
Moochie Norris. His name makes him a little bit more than a real one knows.
Yeah.
No, I
but
think
he was a fun player.
his name is too cool. Here's one. Carl Landry.
Yes. Carl Landry. Talk about a
effing
junkyard
Landry.
dog. Carl
Dude.
Landry.
Dude, Carl Landry. So let me tell you a story about Carl Landry.
Please do.
I think. Wait a second. Hang on. I have to
Are you
look
thinking
this
of
up.
Chuck Hayes or Lonnie Baxter, perhaps?
Hang on. Carl.
I like Paul has a
Yeah.
story, but okay.
Here it is. I had
you
to
quickly
confirm it.
verified.
I had to confirm it.
Okay.
So Carl Landry got shot in the leg. He got shot in the leg back in 2009.
Wow.
He could have died. Like, it was the lower leg. He was bleeding a lot. So when I first moved to Houston, Josh Innes lived in Carl Landry's old place. So it's kind of east downtown. Wherever it was, shady stuff happened. The place was nice, but the shady stuff happened. And every now and then, like, Josh would take me out drinking and stuff. And my old roommate, which was his roommate at the time, Joel, and I, one time, we came back. We were annoyed because we had driven people home that were intoxicated, and we were both sober. Like, we had both just gotten off working weekend shifts on the radio. So we're outside. He's smoking a cigarette, and all of a sudden, pop, 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 pop. We look at each other. We're like, what the hell was that? A pickup truck peels around the corner. The inside wheels are off the ground, and it just is darting towards us. We hopped over a fence because the gate had closed and jumped in a bush, and we hit. And we hit for 5 minutes. And this car, who saw us jump over the bush, slowly drove by looking to find us. And we're just like, we're both sitting in the bush like, oh my God, what if we get shot because we heard gunshots and we saw this car peeling around the corner? So we just sat in the bush for like 5 minutes. I was so effing scared.
I can't believe Carl Landry lived there.
It was a nice place.
NBA South. Oh, okay.
Well, it's classic Houston. Like, it was a really nice, it was
And
like a
then you
3-story townhouse.
You go down 3 blocks.
But yeah, it's Houston, man. Like, it just, from one area to the next, you never know what you're gonna get.
Wow. That is a great story.
Yo, it was. I was
Shout out to
so
Carl Landry.
so scared. Now I don't even care when I hear a gunshot go off. You know, like, if you know you're from Houston, if you've heard some gunshots. Luis Scola, another good one. Goran Dragic, my favorite Houston Rocket on the 2011 team, which I have a great appreciation for. That was when Joel Blank was running the post-game show, and I would do highlights, and we would watch games together. And then I would fill in for him occasionally.
Would you do like the Joelisms or?
No, I didn't even try.
You got to be your own. I get it. You got to be your own.
No, I basically like the post game show would start, and I'd have to cut up the highlights of the game watching on this like little tiny like 8-inch TV as the game was going on. So I barely would know what the hell happened in the game. So this is where I started doing my infamous box score hot takes thing, where I would just look at the box score and pretend like I knew what happened in the game, and then I just let the callers take it from there. And I was like, yeah, I can't believe that happened. Oh my god, It's crazy. Anyway, it's the Paul Gallant Show, ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Guys, let's do a little garbage time and read some more.
Real ones now.
Thank you. I forgot.
I'm only happy when it's
Garbage. And then I start eating garbage.
If there's one guy up here who knows about total garbage,
Garbage.
it's this guy. It's Garbage Time with Paul Gallant. Let's go.
Some more real ones. No. Donatas Motiejunas. Yeah.
His sweat mark in the 2016 first round of the playoffs that Steph Curry slipped on might have changed the course of basketball history forever. Because Steph got hurt. He missed some games. It didn't matter because they beat the Blazers anyway. But he was, some would debate how hobbled he was in the 2016 finals because he didn't look that hobbled when they're up 3-1. But then they blew the 3-1 lead. And all because Donatas Motiejunas sweat on the court of
Let's talk
Toyota.
about his sweat for a moment. So for those who don't remember, Motiejunas put an incredible amount of product in his hair
So much.
to keep the hair up. And his hair looked good, but I'm assuming that sweat was just a very slippery chemical concoction once it hit the court. And I always wonder, like, how does it not get in his eyes? Because if anyone's worn, like, that real hold stuff is generally going to burn you in the eyes if it's
You start sweating? Yeah.
Right.
It was crazy.
Oof. Real ones know Ryan Griffin, former Texans tight end. Bill O'Brien would argue that because one time I confused Ryan Griffin with CJ Fedorowicz.
Yeah. Bonus real ones know.
Yeah.
Actually, CJ
I did not know.
CJ Fedorowicz is more of a real ones know, but
Yeah.
Ryan Griffin, yeah.
Someone texted in Chester Pitts.
Chester Pitt.
Oh, yeah, Chester Pitts. What a story that guy has. The most positive person ever. There are some people that are too positive, and I remember every now and then, and Chester's always been so nice to me, but every time some Chester, like, coming out the radio, I'm like, dude, can you say something negative?
Tone it down a little.
Tone it down.
I feel bad.
We
feel
get
bad.
it. You've had a blessed life. F you. I have it. We got some other ones. Lestargine, yeah.
I mean, that is just... He was like a preseason all-star, right?
100%. Kevin Walter. Right, real ones know, but no one on the national broadcast would know to say it's Kevin Walter. They'd say Kevin Walters, and then they'd say instead of Owen Daniels, they'd say Owens Daniel. I swear to God, we used to keep a montage of all the times that they would F up on the broadcasts. And the funnier thing was when the Texans had Deontay Foreman, Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, and all these D's on the Texans offense, they would always butcher the names like multiple times a game. We had a 2-minute montage. I got to find it. I'll bring it for tomorrow's show. We had a 2-minute montage of every single time.
Deshaun Hopkins and all that.
They would F up the names. It was crazy. The real ones knew that it's actually Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, and Deontay Foreman.
I like how that's where we're in. Real ones know the Pro Bowl quarterback and the All-Pro receiver's name.
You know what they say, Sean? That's the way the cookie crumbles.